Tuesday morning to our faithful law enforcement officers. Thanks for tuning in today to the Protecting Police Podcast. This episode today is brought to you ad-free by Indiana State's Doctorate in Athletic Training Program, so shout out Sycamores. My name is Kelly Yanover, and I am a certified athletic trainer and your host for this episode. For today's short episode, I'm here to bring you some important facts, risk factors, and prevention measures into one of the most common injuries we are recently seeing for police officers. Before I start, do not forget to like and subscribe to this channel and tell your friends all about it. Today, we're talking about something that maybe you have experienced yourself at some point, but maybe didn't recognize early on. Or maybe you just dealt with it like most of us do when we get injured. I'm talking about elbow pain. Specifically, on the outside of your arm. You might call it tennis elbow. In healthcare, we call it lateral epicondylitis. And police officers are actually a high-risk group for it. This episode is important because this injury doesn't usually happen just from one dramatic incident. So you may not know it's happening until that pain sets in. It sneaks up on you. And if ignored, it can affect your shooting performance, your defensive tactics, even gripping your steering wheel during long patrols. Writing your reports might become a struggle, which I'm sure some of you might actually want to get out of. But in all seriousness, a study that actually came out this past year found that out of 198 police personnel, almost 26% had lateral epicondylitis. Okay, that's 1 in 4 police personnel. So chances are you may have a buddy currently dealing with this. But what is LE anyway? First, let's go into a quick anatomy lesson without that medical jargon. On the outside of your elbow is a small bony bump. Attached there is a tendon, and this powers your grip strength and allows you to extend your wrist. So every time you hold a firearm, handcuff someone, grab a suspect, you are loading that tendon. Here's the important part though. It's actually a wear and tear tendon overload injury, okay? So think of it like a rope that gets frayed over time, but not cut all at once, right? So the problem isn't just a single fight, a rest, or a day at the shooting range. The problem is repetition, force, and not enough recovery. So why do police officers get it? Well, police officers actually check every risk factor there is that researchers know about lateral epicondylitis. You have repetitive gripping, from gripping your firearm, your baton, writing reports, that forceful forearm rotation, the unpredictable high-force encounters that you have with suspects. Research on workers doing repetitive manual tasks shows this exact exposure dramatically increases the chance of developing LE. In other words, this isn't bad luck. It's just an occupational exposure. Just like firefighters breathing in smoke. But there are early warning signs. So usually it can start like feeling like soreness on the outside of your elbow after a long range day, repetitive paperwork, a physical arrest. Then afterwards, you start to notice it. Maybe when pouring your coffee in the morning, opening a door, shaking somebody's hand. Most officers will ignore this stage, and this is a critical mistake. Once it progresses, you can get shooting fatigue, loss of your strength control, night pain, and symptoms that last for months. So, what happens if you do nothing? Well, it doesn't just burn out from not doing anything. The tendon is degenerating. So, continuing your full activity without treatment can cause micro tearing, tendon degeneration, and chronic weakness. That's when officers end up needing months of rehab or even those fancy cortisol injections. And sometimes work restrictions. Good news, this is one of the most preventable occupational injuries, okay? So let's break this into 3 levels. Stop it before it starts, okay? This is the most important part. You don't prevent this by resting more. You prevent it by making the tendon stronger, okay? So this is something you can do 2 to 3 times per week, all right? You want to start off with some wrist extensor strengthening, all right? This could be with some light dumbbells, a resistance band, okay? This is where you slowly lower your wrist down, bring it back up, okay? You can also do some grip endurance holds. Hold a moderate grip squeeze for about 20 to 30 seconds, not using your maximum effort. And definitely incorporate some shoulder strengthening as well, okay? We'll include some resources down in the comments below that you guys can use to start combating this early on. But definitely want to start doing some strengthening prevention exercises to start off with. Definitely don't want to stack multiple high volume range days in a row as well, okay? So shouldn't be going to the shooting range every single day. And definitely have that recovery after you do any sort of defensive tactics training. Remember, you're conditioning the tissue to tolerate police work, okay? The second thing you should do, catch it early, all right? If you feel pain on the outside of your elbow that lasts more than a few days, do not just rest it and hope that it starts to go away, okay? Instead, reduce that high force gripping. Start your light strengthening immediately. And then ice, okay? Early treatment will dramatically shorten your recovery time, okay? Remember that. The earlier you act, the less time off you'll need. And lastly, prevent reoccurrence, okay? So if you already have it, you're going to need a graduated return to full duty. All right, this will start with first having pain-free daily activities, okay? Pouring your cup of coffee, shaking hands, opening a door. Make sure those activities are pain-free. Then you'll move to light grip tasks. Then you'll move to going to the shooting range, doing some long range, short range shooting, until finally you're cleared for full active duty. Okay. Jumping straight back into full force is the number one reason officers re-injure it. Okay. So once healed, you must keep a maintenance program once. This is like physical training for your joints, not just your muscles. Okay. So here's the key takeaway. Lateral epicondylitis occurs at least 1 in 4 police personnel. Okay. It's predictable and you need to do something to combat it. All right. Your job requires elite grip strength and control under stress. So protecting that ability is part of operational readiness, just like firearms training or defensive tactics. So if you catch it early and strengthen appropriately, it is completely manageable. Okay. If you ignore it, it becomes a long-term performance problem. Okay. Your hands are one of your most important pieces of equipment. So treat them like issued gear. All right. Thank you all for listening to today's short episode. I hope you learned something from this. Okay. We will provide resources in the comments below for you to get started on some of those prevention programs and some facts about lateral epicondylitis. Okay. If you guys have any questions, reach out to me. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, stay strong, and take care of yourself.